up. My grandma grabbed us kids and made us kneel with her in the corner of the living room to say the rosary. I watched out the corner of my eye while my abuelito stomped around, pumping his fist, yelling about how macho we Trejos were. My uncles were laughing, passing beers, doing play-by-plays of what had gone down. My grandmother made us pray louder. Looking at my cousins and me kneeling in prayer for the second time that day, you'd never guess that every one of us would go to jail or prison. But we did. No matter how close to God my grandmother wanted us to be, we were already on the path. We were Trejos. If my family had a legacy, that was it. And you'd never guess that the baddest of the bad, me, would make it out of the prison system, and instead of dying in the streets as a stone-cold junkie and killer, I'd end up being shot, stabbed, decapitated, blown up, hung, flattened by an elevator, and disintegrated into a pool table until my eyeballs rolled into the pockets, in a career that made me the most killed actor in Hollywood history, that I'd meet presidents and have murals of my face painted on walls in different continents, that companies would want me as their spokesman because I was not only loved but trusted, and that I'd have an official day named after me in Los Angeles, because the Danny Trejo who I was before I got clean and became a drug counselor, or before the world got to know me through my acting career, was no one anyone would want to paint or honor, because back then I was the Mexican you didn't want to fuck with. Part 1. Escape. Chapter 1. Soledad, 1968. I felt like shit. I was high on heroin, Pruno, Reds, and whiskey. I was 3 years into a 10-year stretch, which for a Mexican was more likely to be a 20-year stretch, a life stretch, a death stretch. I always figured I'd die in prison. It was Cinco de Mayo 1968 in Soledad State Prison. To a Mexican, real Mexican, corazón Mexican, Cinco de Mayo doesn't mean the Mexican Day of Independence. It's not. It doesn't signify the day the Mexicans defeated the French at Puebla. It doesn't even mean the 5th of May. Cinco de Mayo means get bail money ready. I was already inside, so no need for bail. Mexicans had been planning un chingon bola for weeks. Since I was running the gym next to the loading docks, I got my hands on all the contraband coming in. Cigarette, speed, heroin, even women's underwear and makeup, if that was your thing. As long as you could pay for it, I could get it. I ran the heroin bag, so I was well stocked. I also had hundreds of pills I collected from inmates who saved their meds and used them to pay gambling debts, traded them for contraband, or needed protection. I had a few pints of whiskey, 2 ounces of weed, and the batch of Pruno we'd been making for weeks. A connect in the kitchen got us raisins, oranges, sugar, yeast to mix it with. We'd pour it into garbage bags, twist them tight, wrapped it in t-shirts, and stashed them in the heating vents. When it was ready, we'd strain them through tube socks. We started early the day before and went all night. That next morning, I was settling in when the captain's voice came over the loudspeaker. He announced, "We're having an outside activity that day. A local junior college baseball team would be playing a team of inmates in an exhibition game."